Morning, everybody. It's me, Michael Kyer. It's Friday. We made it, January 21st. Yeah. So, good morning. My name is, again, Michael Kyer. I'm out here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, streaming at 10 a.m. Pacific, bringing all sorts of things that I've learned about video conferencing and live streaming over the last few years. So, I hope that some of my work will help you to get your stream up and going. If you're new, if you've been streaming for any amount of time, I hope maybe I've got a few tips in here that might be helpful. So I've been doing now what we're getting ready to do here. I always keep doing this. I always keep doing that. February 19th, we're going to be putting together. I'm putting together a large event, and I've said it before. It's just going to be a party. But what I've been doing over the last couple of weeks is putting out some streams about all the pieces that go into making a large online event. And it can get complicated. I know that. So what I've been doing is breaking this down into smaller pieces, smaller chunks, and talking about it as we go and developing it, your preparation phase, the getting your documents all set up that you might be using, and then now this week getting into some content building, some simple content building. We did some graphics earlier in the week with Canva, and then I talked a little bit about video presentation in the last stream. To kind of get that idea of that, let's get the video going, because this is the fun part. This is really, really the fun part. Morning, Joe. I see you're out there. Thanks for coming. So this is really the fun part for me. And you've done all that work ahead of time, and now you finally got that video going. Maybe you recorded a little bit beforehand. And today, what we're going to talk about is trimming that up a little bit. Now, I was going to talk about like 3 different video editors, but what we're doing, we're trying to keep this simple and get moving. So what I'm going to do today is just go through some of the basics that I touched on, some things to help, and then just use one basic video editor to be able to trim up what you've produced, so that you've got just those little chunks. And that are in a nice format. So we'll keep it that simple. We'll get to attaching a cover to it or a thumbnail. But today we're going to keep it pretty simple, just to get that piece moving. And then what I'm going to do is do a separate stream about each one of those more complicated versions of editing software, because they can get a little bit more detailed and a little bit overwhelming right at first. So we'll kind of just take this in more basic steps. I think that'll be a little bit easier to get moving, because we're not trying to put more roadblocks in front of us for what we're doing. So I'm going to start with a few of the things I started off with the video presentation part of things. When you go and you start to make this video, let's say you've got yourself all set up the way you want. You've got a nice scene, it's framed correctly, you're sitting up, you're looking at the camera, you've got your lights on, you're smiling, you started to record some of that video. And I mentioned before that one of the things I did is I tried to make it perfect that first time. So I got everything set up, and then I had my finger on the record button and push record. And invariably that first take would be something would go wrong, and so I would stop, reset everything, and try it again. And so I had all these little videos that weren't any good, So what I came to realize is that, well, I can just let the recording run. We're on digital, we're on your computer. There's plenty of room, so you can have a longer video. You don't need to. You're not conserving, space so much. So let the video run. Spend those first couple of minutes making faces at the camera. Maybe you get it right. Whatever you're going to put on your thumbnail. You can get something there, and then later on you can take a still image of one of those first parts to use as your thumbnail or as another part of one of your graphics. So that was sort of one of my first to try and make things a little bit easier for myself. And then if you mess up, just keep going. Take a little pause. You know that first part isn't going to be any good. Take a pause, collect yourself, start again. And then later on, like today, we can go through and cut out those pieces that aren't any good. And if we find the piece that we like, and finding that, is maybe the difficult part. But we find that piece we like, trim that out, and have a nice little video that we can work with. So that was just a few of the things that I touched on how to make things maybe a little bit easier. And then when you get going, you can go through and put markers in to your video for the pieces that you want to remember. Just watch the whole thing through, and then drop little markers as you go, and then you can go back and do your more precise editing. And the precision of editing, video quality is really, really important. But the precision of that editing is something that takes practice and skill, and you build that over time. So if you're like me, you make a little mistake, and I just want to cut out just a couple seconds or a couple of minutes or something, and you've got a static shot like this, it just is the same scene, continuously, a little hiccup isn't going to be noticed very much. It'll just skip over and real quick and go on to the next thing. Later on, you can work with, adding more complicated transitions and effects and that type of thing. But at first, if you're just doing a basic, hello, how are you? My name's Mike, or whatever it is, a little hiccup it's okay. You don't have to be perfect first time. That's what I tried. I tried it all the time, and it just wasn't working. It took more time to try and do it perfectly than it did to mess it up a couple of times and then go back and pick out the part that was actually good. So, and then of course, before you do any of that, you need to make sure to press the record button. And I needed to put a big sign on my computer to push record, and I'm going to just double check that I did that. Yes, I did that. Okay. And I'm not on mute, so that's always a good thing too. Yeah, that's a couple of those basic starting points. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to use the YouTube editor, and I'm going to go into just how to use that real quick, how to use those cuts and those the zooming in and making those adjustments. Now, when I stream and send my my signal to YouTube, and then that's recorded on YouTube. So there's that recording there. I've got that in my settings. I've got it set to record. So when I get done live streaming, I've got my chunk of video. So the one I'm going to do today is I'm going to edit one of the introduction that I did for this series. It was just an announcement, a little commercial, a little advertisement. But it had a good few minutes on the beginning that wasn't any good, that was just dead air, and so that's what we're going to cut off today, and then I'll show you how to make a little extra clip from the middle somewhere. And that will give you what you're looking for. That'll give you that nice edited video that you can then include in your event. You can play it back, or you can record somebody else and put that into your event. So it'll be basic, but it'll give you the idea of this is how we're doing it. So with that said, let me just double check everything. Yep. All right. If you're in the chat anywhere, say hi. I'm on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook. So if you're at any of those places, say hi. I appreciate hearing from you. I love talking to people while I'm working. Makes things a little bit nicer. If you're a future person and you're watching, thanks for showing up and checking this out. My name is Michael Kyer, and I stream out here Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific. And I try to show you a little bit about how to make live streaming and video conferencing a little bit easier, hopefully. So, all right, let's get started. So the first thing we're starting off from the standpoint that you've got some amount of video already recorded and on YouTube. Okay, you might be on your computer, but we're just going to start with the YouTube editor. So I've done my live stream before. A little announcement: it's on YouTube, and now I'm going to want to trim that up and find the pieces that I'm looking for. And so I'm going to switch over to my main monitor. Here, I'll show you the behind the scenes with my OBS here. There you go. So okay, so this is my main monitor. You can see me. All right. Then I've got a little picture of myself up there in the corner, just so you can see me. You know I'm here. You know, you're not worried that I went anywhere. I'm here. But you see my OBS. That's over on the top of my my YouTube page. So this is, I'm going to get this out of the way. So this is my YouTube page, and you can see I'm live on here. I'm live. So I'm going to be going up to managing my videos. And there's a few steps involved when you are setting up to go live on YouTube, so you're going to have those done beforehand. But starting with, you've already done your setup, you're streaming, and you've got this recording. This is where we're going to go. So from here, I'm going to go to my Manage My Videos. We'll give it a second. There we go. And I'm going to go to my live recordings, because this is where it got stored. And then this little short 6-minute piece here is the one I'm gonna edit. Now, before I get started, I'm going to be adjusting this and saving this directly to YouTube. So beforehand, you might want to download it so that you've got the raw copy of what you put together, just in case something goes wrong. I like to have backups of what I'm working with. Using YouTube as a backup is not the best idea. It's a good place to store it, and it will most likely be there, forever. But there's always some sort of a technical glitch that could happen, or something might go a little weird, and you might lose that recording. So having that recording in 2 separate spots stored is a good idea. You might have another online storage option, or you might want to download it to your computer. But that is in this little right here. You can come and download it here, and that'll download it on your computer. Or you can edit your title and description. But downloading that first is a great idea. So then I opened the video itself. This is another idea that I thought was really good. Open the video itself. Now I had set this to have captions. Okay. So one of the things I like to do first is to go down here and open the transcript. That's going to give me a list of all my words that I used, and I'll show you why that's going to be handy here in a second. So I open the transcript, and you can see it's time-stamped. Everything I said is here with a timestamp. So if you want to go back through and highlight all of this, you can copy and save it into a document somewhere, and then you'll be able to use that. Sure, where am I at? Never mind. You're going to be able to use that as a guide for finding that little piece of audio, or the chunk that you want to cut out. You'll have that as a guide and outline, and you can use that. So you can pull a copy of that, put it into your text editor of whichever text editor you use. Maybe it's a Google Doc or a Word document or something like that. But it'll be a nice reference when you go to do your editing that, oh yeah, this is what I was looking for. It'll give you a timestamp, and you don't have to necessarily, hunt through your video of, oh yeah, it's right here, I think. This will give you an idea of where you're at. So that was something that I learned that I like, that I do regularly. And if I get some good content, I can use that as my text for later on. I can go and adjust it. But it's something I've already said, so it's kind of nice. So downloading your video just in case, and then pulling a transcript to work with to give you an idea of where you're at, something you might want to find. But to go back to the video itself, once you've opened the video, this is the all the details and the descriptions and my thumbnail and all that. So I've already gone through and added a thumbnail to this, but this spot is where you would get that at. And YouTube gives you some suggestions depending on how the video showed up, but you can pick one of these, or you can upload a thumbnail maybe that you used and put together in Canva. See how it all starts to come together. Take Canva, make the thing, put it in here, and you're good to go. So you've got your thumbnail on there already, and then these other settings, these are important to go through. Which playlists you want to have them in, whether or not it's made for kids. If it's not specifically designed for kids, then click no. It's not oh, my language is fine or whatever. There's more restrictions, there's more considerations when you're making children's content. So the audience that it's made for is important. And then if you click that it's made for kids, it'll give further restrictions. So generally speaking, you're going to click no, it's not made for kids. And then more of your settings in here for the video itself. You want to add which languages it's in, so that you get that transcript, you get those captions on there from before. And then any categories or other tags. So this video is pretty much set. We're going to go to just editing it. So little editor over here on the left will bring up a pretty basic screen. And this is why I like using YouTube for some of these basic edits, is because it has just the basics. It's got the video itself that you can play and watch, and then you'll get your time marker moving along, so then you can mark where you're going. And you can see how the video is lined up in a series of frames, and then you can also see right here in the middle where I've got this little, scritchy looking something. That's my audio waveform. This is the things when I start talking here in the middle, this is where it starts to, this is all, what my voice is looking like. So this audio line underneath here is a nice way to find some of those breaks. If you ran your video and you don't have anything at the beginning, like in this one, there's nothing here because my mute was on. You can see that I don't need any of this. This is all one static image, and there's no audio, so I can cut that whole thing out if I wanted to. So looking at the audio waveform is a nice way to do that. And then if you made a mistake and you found piece that you didn't like, and you take that breath, you take that pause, you're going to have a flat part in your waveform, and you'll know that that's where I started at again. And if you've got your transcript with you, you can see on the timestamp, okay, this is what I'm talking about, this is how well it went. So you start to put these tools together, and they work together, and it makes things a little bit more efficient than trying to just poke through the video and go, okay, this is where I was, this is a good one, this is a bad one. It makes it a little bit simpler. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to simplify some of this because there's so many pieces to making a large online event that you need to have some simplification of the process as you go along that works for you. That's another piece, is that this video editor is pretty simple. It works for certain things, but there's other things that you aren't going to be able to add to it, or that aren't as precise. That tends to be the case, is it's not as precise. But if I wanted to do anything with this one, I can always zoom in on the zoom bar over here. I can zoom in. Now this is not a zoom pun of any kind, but it gives you a little bit closer view of where you're at. So let me zoom back out for a second, and I'm going to move my marker over here where I've actually got some audio. So when I zoom in, you'll see, sorry about that, you'll see that the amount of time I'm looking at is closer and closer. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more and a little bit more until I'm zoomed in all the way. Again, it's not a zoom pun, but this is as close as I can get. So I've got a little break here. You can see there's not anything in the waveform, but then I'm speaking here, so you've got a little spike in how much it is. So zooming out, you can see these larger breaks. These are like individual words that I was speaking, and so I can put my marker anywhere in there, and it's going to move my video to that point. So zooming in, that'll give you that tighter control of where you're going to make that break. But I'm going to zoom all the way out for right now. And so if I had started this way back at the beginning, I'm going to move my marker way back here at the beginning. So my video is way back at the beginning, and I can play it from up here. And you'll see that my marker now is moving along ever so slowly. This is the video. It is playing, but this initial shot was just a static shot of the title, so that's all that it is. But it's rolling, rolling, rolling. You can roll it back by 10 seconds. You can roll it forward by 10 seconds. You don't need to listen to the sound with the mute button and, you know, some more settings there. So I know that this first part isn't anything I'm going to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my marker here, and I'm just going to cut this out real quick. I can just pause this. I know that from you know, about this standpoint where my audio starts, that's where I'm going to definitely cut everything. So I'm going to drop my marker there. Then I'm going to trim it right here. It's pretty simple right there. I'm going to trim it, and you can see how now it's outlined in blue. I'm going to grab the corner or the end and pull it to that mark, you know, as close as possible. This is just a rough cut. This isn't, you know, a final cut. Now that it's outlined in gray, when I save this, it's going to cut that all out. It's not going to be there. That's the part that I'm going to cut out. So that's, you know, pretty simple. Highlight it. That's the part that I'm cutting out. Now I can split this. Sure I can. I can split this. I can do two of these. So I can cover this to here, and then I can drop another marker, and sure I can. I was blurring it, that's why. Sure I can. I'm going to split it now. Okay, so then now I can drag this and pull another piece that I'm going to cut out. So I cut the front part off, and then I cut this middle part out, so that was one of the mistakes. You know, that was a piece I didn't like. So now only the parts in white are the parts that are going to be saved. And so from here to, you know, across to here, this is just going to be a jump. And I can preview this. I can drop my marker to preview it, and you'll see that it jumps. Give this a second. Hit my trim. Nope, sorry. Preview it and then play it. From there, and you'll see it jumps, sure, a little bit closer, boom, to the end. So that chunk of my video, that was a piece that I didn't want, so now it's gone. So these are the two pieces I'm going to trim out of here, and so when I go to save this, the parts that are going to be saved are in white, and the parts that are going to be trimmed off are here in gray. So like I said, pretty simple, straightforward. Cut the front off. You can also cut the back off. You can have, you know, cut out a chunk out of the middle, or maybe a bunch of little chunks. I can zoom into this and make this a little bit more precise. So this is the piece I'm working with, and I can make this a little bit more precise if I wanted to change that. I wanted to get, let me see here. If I wanted to move this first part, you know, a little bit, I can adjust that. You know, I can see it a little bit clearer. Okay, I want to cut it that word, or maybe I needed to get even more precise with it, and it wasn't that word, it was the first word, but you know, I'm just going to move it a little bit. You can get more and more precise with this, obviously, but depending on what you've taped will determine, you know, how precise you really have to get with it. So basic video editing, that's it. You're just you put your markers in, you can adjust which piece you're pulling, and then you're going to save this. You're going to produce this now as your new video. So I'm done with that. I'm preview it. I'm I'm ready to go. I've played it. I saw how it jumped. Okay, that's fine. I've listened to it, and then I'm going to save it. That's it. Now you've got your little video of, without the pieces that you don't need. So again, this was pretty simple and pretty quick, but it gives you an idea of, what you can do with this relatively easily. You get to using it, you're going to get more precise with it. You're going to have some decisions to make about which piece you want, and so that's why I decided to make this kind of short and sweet today, is because this takes practice, and I can sit here all day and go through my videos, but it would make for boring. So that's it. That's what we're going to leave. We're going to save it, and then you'll have that piece of video. You can download it again, and then you can play it later on for one of your streams. So basic video editing. Now we've got a few things we're working with. We've got some graphics for this. We've got now our video trimmed up a little bit, so we got a nice video with a nice title on it, and then trimmed in the way we want. So then we can go and put that into our event, and as an additional piece that you worked on beforehand. Maybe it was a song that you were putting together that you didn't want to do live, or a big one is puppets. If you're using puppets and you're doing a show, it might take some time. You want to get that right, so you maybe take a little bit more time with that. But pre-recorded video, it's a great way to get comfortable on camera. It's a great way to add additional value to your event. So get in there, start using it, fire it up, download your video just in case, pull that transcript so I've got a little bit of an outline of where you're at. Come in here, start your editing, take a little bit of time with it, pull out the good parts, pull out the pieces that you like, and you're gonna have a good time with it. I enjoy video editing. You can get very creative with it. So that's what I encourage. Get out there, do it, put it together, get your stream going, get your recording going, get on there, turn the lights on, smile, have a great time with it. So again, I'm going to leave it there, short and sweet, just a little bit over half an hour. I'm going to go ahead and close this up, but I'm going to be in chat for a little bit. And I've got a chat that I'm going to get to. But anyway, my name is Michael Kyer. I use he, him pronouns. I'm out here streaming Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific. We're putting together a great program right now about how to create a large online event, and we're going to put together a large online event on February 19th, 2022, next month. A little bit less than a month from now, we're going to have a fantastic show. It's going to showcase all of the things that you can do with a large event. We're going to have all your Zoom functions, of course. We're going to be using Zoom. I mean, you've got to use Zoom for your large events. But we're going to be using the waiting room, the chat, spotlight, breakout rooms. We're going to be having live music. We're going to have guest speakers. Some just maximum level moderators, streaming professionals, and some amazing content producers. So it'll be a great show. It'll be a showcase show. So we'll be showing off all of these things we've been working on. And I hope that you're out there working on yours. I hope that you're getting your stream going and putting out good content, putting out positive things. That's much needed these days. So I'm going to leave it at that. My name is Michael Kyer. I use he, him pronouns Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, out here streaming, video conferencing, live streaming, tips, tricks, different things I've learned. And I have a good time doing it. So I'm going to leave it at that. I will see you on Monday, and I'll be back at 10. Next week, we're going to be working on putting some of these together in with your moderators, your co-hosts, and your audience. So the first part was, a little work, doing all our typing. This has been the fun part, but next week we get to the hard part. And the hard part is dealing with people, is working with the people that you're including in your event. It gets much more complicated when you're dealing with them. So that's what we're going to work on next week. I hope you have a great weekend. I will see you out there. All right.